All right. Page 16, number 3. All right. It says you deposit $8,000 into an account that pays 3.75% compounded continuously. How long will it take for the balance to double? Who remembers from chapter 5? What is the formula for compound continuously? Look at your notes then. Take out your chapter 5 notes, I guess. Let's do that then. What'd you say? It is E. You on the right track. Okay, so then we're missing one more thing. What else? What's in front of that? I agree with that, but what's the other part of it? A equals, one more thing, P. PERT. It spells PERT, P-E-R-T. That's the formula for compound continuously. So let's revisit this formula. A is your ending balance. P is your starting balance. R is your rate. And T is time. So I'm going to read this question again. And this time I'm going to look for these variables. P-E-R-T. So it says you deposit $8,000. Okay, what is that $8,000 going to be? Which one of the variables? P. Okay, so 8,000 is P. Into an account that pays 3.75% interest. When we convert that, what does it become? Is it 0.375 or 0.0375? 0.0375. How long will it take it to double? So when you double, that means you're multiplying by 2, right? Multiply start by 2. So if I started with $8,000 and I want to double it, what would my ending amount be? What is double 8,000? 16,000. And anytime you see these two words, how long, that means I am looking for time. So this time we don't know what that is. So let's go ahead and substitute everything into that formula. So what I'll have is 16,000 equals 8,000. E 0.0375 T. We need to solve that for T. This is like the equations we've been solving up until now. So the first thing I need to do is isolate E, which means that right now E is being multiplied by 8,000. And what's the opposite of multiplication? So we need to divide both sides of my equation by 8,000, which will give you 2. 2 equals E to the 0.0 to the power of, excuse me, to the power of 0.0375 T. Okay, now we have an E. We got to get rid of E. What's the opposite of E? ln has to be the natural log, cannot be log. So I'm going to put in natural log on both sides. And what that will do is cancel out this. So what I'll end up with now is natural log of 2 equals 0.0375 times t. All right, the last thing I need to do, remember, these are being multiplied. And I'm trying to get t by itself. So what do I have to do to get rid of the 0.0375? What's the opposite? What's the opposite of multiplication, Bailey? Bailey? Division. Y'all gotta talk to me now. This class gonna be too long. Like, come on, y'all. 0.0375. This cancels out. So now we know that t equals the natural log of 2 divided by 0.0375. Pick up your calculators. And we'll go to the tens place. If you're not getting 18.5, I rounded that 4 to an 8 because the next number after the 4 was an 8. So I rounded that 4 to a 5, sorry. I rounded the 4 to a 5 because the number after 4 was an 8. If you did not get that, raise your hand and I will help you because we're doing this again and again and again. Oh. Okay. Type in LN, which is under the green button, 2. Close the parentheses, divided by. Anybody else need help? All right, let's look at our next question. Number 4. It says you deposit 12. So again, it says continuously. So this is my formula. So I deposited 1,200. So that's my starting amount. Now it's paying 5%. So R would be 0.05. Again, you see how it says how long? That means I am trying to find t. That's a question mark. That's my unknown. But this time we want to triple the money. So if I'm tripling the money, what am I multiplying by 1,200 to get the tripled amount? 3. So take 1,200 times 3. All right, so let's go ahead and solve this out. So you have 3,600 equals 1,200 E 0.05 T. All right, exact same steps. Look back to number 3. You're going to divide, put in a natural log, and divide again. Exact same steps as number 3. First step, divide 1,200. Second step, put in a natural log. Third step, divide by 0.05. It's 3,600 divided by 1,200 between zeros. So I'm seeing a lot of people get about 21 years-ish. Anybody else getting something close to 21? Or is it 27? 21-ish, 21, 22? Raise your hand if you got that. Not bad. Let's do it. So step number 1, got to get rid of the 1,200. So to do that, because 1,200 is being multiplied by E, you're going to divide it. So then that'll be 3 equals E to the power of 0.5t. The opposite of E is natural log. That's going to cancel this out. So you'll have natural log of 3 equals 0.05t. And then your last step is to divide by 0.05. And let me check and see if we round it right. Natural log of 3 divided by 0.05. It really rounds because it's 21.97. I'm just going to round that to 22 years. Because the number after 7 will round both of these numbers up. So 22 years. Any questions? All right, part B, same stuff. Let's do it again. I'm not going to do it. I want you to do it. Okay. This is my starting amount. The interest rate is still 0.05, just like part A. This time, we want to quadruple the money. And when you quadruple a number, what are we multiplying it by? 4. All right, go ahead and do it. This is just like the last two. That wasn't bad. That was not bad at all. Good job, y'all. All right. So 27.7 is what I saw the most. Let's set it up. My ending amount is 6,000 because it said quadruple. So to figure out A equals 1,500 times 4. That's how I figure out A. So A is 6,000. That equals my starting amount, E, 0.05 T. Divide both sides by 1,500. And that gives you 4. The opposite of E is natural log. That's going to cancel that out. So I have the natural log of 4 equals 0.05 T. And my last step is to divide natural log of 4 by 0.05. And you should get 27.7. Because the number after 7 is 2, we don't need to round that. So T is 27.7 years. Any questions about number, what is this? 4B. All right, let's go ahead and look at number 5. 5 says the magnitude M, so this is important. Magnitude is M, of an earthquake that releases energy, so this capital E is energy, measured in joules, can be modeled by a, so this is the formula I'm working with now. Let me go ahead and rewrite that. This is my magnitude. The capital E is energy. That's important when you take the SAT or any type of test. If they give you a formula that you're not familiar with, they will tell you what the variables represent. So first thing I like to do is write the formula and then label what the variables represent. So we only have 2 variables, M and E, capital E. Okay, it says an earthquake in the Pacific Ocean had a magnitude of 7.9. Where am I putting that 7.9? M, because it said it had a magnitude. And we want to find how much energy. So this is what I'm trying to find. This is what I know. So let's go ahead and substitute that in. So I have 7.9 equals 3.12 natural log of energy plus 2.45. And we're just going to solve this like we would any equation. So I'm trying to solve it for E. This is what I'm trying to find. So, anybody want to take a guess? What am I going to do first? Yep, subtract the 2.45. Let's do that, y'all. Pick up your calculators. Take 7.9 minus 2.45. Johan, what you get? 5.45. Anybody else get that? 5.45. All right, that equals, I'm going to bring down the rest of this equation. Okay, remember, I'm trying to get to that capital E. The next thing that is in my way is this 3.12. What's the invisible operation happening right here? When you don't see something, what does it mean, Amaya? Multiplication. So what's the opposite of multiplication? Division. Let's do it. So take the 5.45. And you should get approximately, so it says 1.746. I'm going to round that 4 up to a 5. So it's approximately 1.75 equals the natural log of E. So I'm really close to getting that E by itself. The only thing standing in my way is the natural log. What is the opposite of natural log? E. So I have to, when I put the E in, what I want to make sure you understand is this all becomes exponents. So this means E to the power of 1.75. But over here, because these are opposite, they cancel. So I end up with E to the power of 1.75. That's going to equal my energy. So how do you type that in your calculator? What you need to do is hit the green key first, then hit LN. Hit the green key, then you hit LN to get the E. Type in the exponent, 1.75, hit enter. If you typed it in correctly, you should get 5.75 joules. That is the amount of energy. So we're still solving it just like any regular equation, just doing the opposite. You just have to remember the opposite of E is LN, the opposite of LN is E. Any questions? All right, last page, let's go. A teacher's salary in Indiana. Now this is a very, very old equation, by the way. This is not true, but we'll still go with it. The salary of a teacher in Indiana is approximately modeled by this formula. So we got another new formula. I'm going to rewrite it. So I got two variables. The S, what do you think S represents? Salary. This is your salary. And it tells you T is the number of years. Okay. So now that we have identified what the variables represent, now we can actually do the question. So part A says, what will a teacher make? So in other words, it's asking me to find the salary after 5 years. So T is 5. So what we need to do in order to find that is just type this in our calculator. So we will have S equals 23,000 plus 4,300 natural log of 5. Let me get some more space over there. That's what you're typing in, because we know that we want to know the salary in 5 years. So you're going to type that in just like that. You're going to put 23,000. You're going to hit the addition sign. 4,300. Then you're going to hit the LN key. And then number 5 and hit enter. You're going to type it in just like that. And if you type it in correctly, you should get 29,900, and I'm around that to $1, up to $1 since it says 20.5. That's the approximate salary. That's the answer to part A. Does anybody need help typing that in? Yeah, it's perfect, yeah. So that's what I got. Except the 0, I rounded up to a 1 because that's a 5. That's exactly what I got. All right, now let's look at part B. And it tells us to round it to a whole number, so we don't need a decimal for part B. Okay, it says, when will the teacher make 33,000? So this time we have S, we know S, but what we don't know is T. That's unknown. So I'm going to put that 33,000 in the front of my formula. So that would be 33,000 equals 23,000 plus 4,300 natural log, and then I'm trying to find T. This time, we can't just type it in our calculator. We have to solve it. Any guess on what my first step is going to be? Because I have 3 things I have to get rid of. This needs to go, and this needs to go, and this needs to go. You're right, exactly. All 3 of those things have to go. So the first thing I'm going to get rid of is the 23,000. It's being added, and the opposite of addition is subtraction. So let's do that. So you should have 10,000. Make sure you keep all 4 zeros. Equals 4,300 natural log of T. All right, so now I just got 2 things left. I need to get rid of that, and I need to get rid of the natural log. So the last thing that goes is the natural log. The next thing I need to do is get rid of the 4,300. How will I do that? Divide it. I heard somebody say it. It is division. It's division because these are being multiplied. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So we're going to divide both sides by 4,300. So pick up your calculators, take 10,000 and divide it by 4,300. We'll go 2 numbers after the decimal. Remember that 2 is followed by a 5. So you have to round up. So you should get, and make sure this is what you got, 2.33 equals the natural log of T. Who got that? Anyone not get that? The last thing that has to go is the natural log. What's the opposite of natural log? E. I'm going to pop it up on the E. Now that becomes e to the power of 2.3, e to the power of natural log of T. On this side, though, this is going to cancel each other. So you get e to the power of 2.33 equals T. Type that in your calculator and round it to a whole number. No decimals. To get the E, you have to hit green key, then LN. No decimals in your answers. No decimals. So is my answer 10 or 11? Is it 10? Who says it's 10? Who says 11? It's 10 because it's 10.2, right? That 2, you only look at the 2. Because it's a 2, we don't round that up. So the answer, and it's important that you all make sure you're reading directions. If it says whole number, then you have to give me a whole number. So the answer is that T is 10 years. That's how long, using that model, it will take the teacher to hit $33,000. All right, so that is now the end of chapter 6. I have taught you everything. Tomorrow we're going to practice some more, and you're going to get your study guide. Your test is a week from today. All right. So help me figure out